Hey guys, you're watching Beyond the Test Drive, and don't feel bad about being interested in the Nissan Altima. You have seen all of the VC turbo reviews out there. Not too many reviews of this non-turbo engine, but that's what we got here today, and we're going to take it for a drive because Nissan has been quietly improving the Altima, and this 2023 refresh really does bring it up to really competitive status. I would say this is right up there with all the dwindling mid-size sedans. They're going away. What we have here today is an SV trim. This is coming in, get this, right around $27,000, and again, that's part of the reason this car is so attractive, is its price and its value, and it actually drives really well. 17-inch wheels. Not a big fan of these rims or wheels here. A little bit too busy for me, but you do get, this is what the SV trim comes with. S trim, just plastic wheel covers. That's why you don't want it. Styling wise, you know, it's not that much of a looker. I would say it's pretty much function over form. Pretty simple styling. Nissan likes to use some chrome on the door handles. That's kind of their thing. The other thing to point out, I don't have the key fob with me, is you do have keyless smart key entry via these buttons on the handle, and get this, you even get remote start on the key fob. So thumbs up there, Nissan. Around the front you do get LED headlights on this SV trim. The other thing you're gonna like these Altimas for is in the trunk space. Pretty much right up there with Camrys and Accords. Maybe not quite as much as the new Accord, which is kind of ridiculous, but you can see I have decent roller bag in here, computer bag, and those seats do go down. Now the driver's side is a power seat. You don't get anything like that on this passenger side. So let's just see. Now, okay, so this is probably my first little quibble. This passenger seat does sit down pretty low, and there's no way to raise it up, but I still have decent visibility out. If you're tall, you're gonna like this passenger seat because you're gonna have plenty of headroom all the way around. Nissan's done a really good job of the shape of the interior here to give all 4 or 5 passengers pretty decent headroom. Good sized glove box there. It's got packed full of junk. And then over here, the center console, nice and soft again. Nice storage there. And one place this car really does shine, and one of the reasons you really want to get it, is this back seat. Almost limousine-like. This is pretty much up there, pretty close to what the Accord has. Even on this SV trim, you get a C and a regular USB down there. Center cup holder. Decent storage down here in the door pockets. And nice soft padding here on the armrest. Plastic handles here. But no, this back seat is where it's at. Your passengers are not going to dislike riding with you anywhere. And if you have to take a long trip with maybe 4 people, this is going to be just fine. Now we'll talk about seat comfort when we get out on the drive. Let's just talk about this interior. Now this is really where this car shines in my mind, is it got a nice, simple, elegant interior. This wood trim is perfectly plastic, but it actually accents really well. Got a little bit of the older generation Accord vibes in here with this interior. You do get a nice sturdy shift knob for your CVT transmission. You get your stop start with your keyless entry right there. Decent sized cup holders. There's no real way to adjust those, but that's okay. Now this SV trim does just have a manual air conditioning heating system, which is fine. I would like to see an auto climate in here, but this has worked fine this week in this hot weather. And a little bit of a plastic feeling to these knobs, but they're nice and big, easy to grab. And again, I don't like to, you know me, I don't like to talk a lot about infotainment systems, but this does have wired Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Again, another USB-C down here, regular USB, an aux jack. Go figure, still have that aux jack in there. Nice job, Nissan. And a 12 volt if you need that. But I will say that this infotainment system, they give you all the good buttons along here. Good menu, you can get to your camera settings. Nice job, Nissan, on keeping some essential buttons really easy. Scanning amongst your station, everything's on one menu, and it's easy to control and scan amongst all your stations with these button controls. Nice clear gauges. Now the one nice thing I do like about this is, you know, Nissan didn't go all digital here. But the center infotainment screen has a lot. It's pretty good size. It's very legible, Good size fonts. It's not the tiny little thing. I think if you go back to the S trim, which I don't recommend from a value standpoint, this gets a little smaller, but it's big enough and it's easy to see. Not the softest steering wheel. If you go up to the SR trim or something like that, you'll get you'll get leather, or if you add the premium package to this SV trim, you'll get a leather steering wheel. But you know, this is pretty hard plastic. I'm not a big fan of it. When you putz with the wipers, I like how it tells you in the middle of the screen what your wipers are doing. That's a nice little touch. I know a lot of other cars do that also. So super kudos to the interior on this Altima. I really like it. You do have a lot of piano black, but a nice storage area there. Let's get this out on a drive, because that is where, let me turn these wipers off. That is where this Altima is actually pretty surprising. When you start up the Altima, one thing you'll notice is the engine is really hushed. You barely hear it idling, which is really nice. Now I got it in reverse here. We do have steerable grid lines. Pretty nice. Don't think they're totally necessary, but nice touch. Decent resolution on that camera. Now under the hood, we don't have the turbo. No turbo here. Lots of reviews out there on that. So lots of 2.5s out there. Everybody has their 4-cylinder NA 2.5 Toyota, Mazda, but this one's actually pretty smooth and quiet compared to a lot of those, other than the Mazda. I think that's probably one of the smoothest, but this one's really well isolated and quiet. They really have some good sound insulation here that Nissan's done. This one comes in, you know, it's not great. It's 100 and I'll put the numbers up there, roughly 180-ish some horsepower, and it is paired with the CVT from Nissan, and Nissan has improved these CVTs so much to the point where I think this is a really good match with this engine. You know, this is not a quick car. I'm not even going to talk too much about how slow or quick it is, but my main thing that I look for in a car is how responsive it is. But it's responsive and it's quiet. It doesn't have that typical CVT drone that they used to have. This one actually has pretty nice gear shifts simulated, and I have not found it droney this week in driving. The other nice thing about this Altima that's been really refreshing is the balance between a really nice, comfortable ride with actually decent responsive handling, especially in the steering right here. Lots of body roll, but man, the steering is really good. It's pretty quick, it's really direct, and you know, you don't get any feedback from the tires or anything, but you know, you can toss this around and not feel like you're driving, you know, the pretty good size car that it is. So yeah, we're just tooling along on this road right here, and this can actually be a little bit more fun than I thought. So let's just go ahead and get on the brakes pretty hard. Pretty big nose dip, but I do like the brake pedal feel on this. It's not mushy at all. It's got a nice bite at the top, so nice job Nissan there. Again, everything about driving this car this week has been pretty surprising, especially with regards to the steering and the transmission shifts. Did you hear that upshift? Another upshift right there. And I can't stress this enough, guys. It's just about how, you know, for $27,000, if you like to drive and you need space, just how good a car like an Altima or a K5 or an Accord or even a Camry can be compared to how, like that Tucson in front of us right now, or those subcompacts like the Corolla Cross. You know, gosh, this is just such a pleasure to drive compared to something like that. Now, as far as this 2.5 compared to the Toyota Camry 2.5, this is so much more isolated and quiet. And again, I like the CVT pairing much more than the Camry's 8-speed Eisen pairing with its 2.5, even though this is down on horsepower quite a bit. Visibility is good. Now you can sit up in these seats, which I like compared to something like an Accord. You do not feel like you're sitting way down. All the controls in here have been just fantastic to use this week. Pretty simple, pretty basic, and that's what I'm looking for when I drive a car, is just how basic and nice the controls are. So big thumbs up there also, Nissan. Now, before we get this out on the highway, just want to go over a couple quibbles. Not really too many. I've already mentioned the plastic steering wheel, but again, that's something you can fix with a higher trim. You do have a very tiny side mirror. I guess I could complain about that a little bit. And I do, with passengers, with this, you know, you're buying this again for passengers, and there's no rear vents in the back, even though the AC has done a really good job. Now, a little bit about alternate trim levels. Again, skip the S. Just skip it. No value there. This SV trim, I think, is the value. You can add a premium package to this if you need heated seats and you like sunroofs. It's a pretty good, I think it's a pretty good value. It's like $2,000 or something like that. So, you know, it's going to get you right around the 30 grand mark. So I'm always a little hesitant of doing that. You do have the Sport SR trim, which stiffens up the suspension a little bit. It gives you some visual goodies. You know, I guess there's, you know, that's worth looking at, especially given how good this handles. I think that slightly stiffer suspension, it's going to put bigger tires, and I think you're going to have some compromises with ride quality and quietness, which is kind of the hallmark of this Altima. Oh, one more annoying thing, the blinker. Haven't grown used to that. All right, anyway, let's put this CVT to the test. All right, a little bit of droning there. All right, if that was full throttle, again, not the quickest thing in the world. All right, hopping onto the highway here. Under more normal acceleration. All right, easily up the speed, but let's go ahead and keep going. Now we're cruising out on the highway, and the very first thing that I'll mention is this is a pretty quiet cabin. Tire noise, wind noise, everything is well controlled. Engine is well subdued, almost up to 75 now. That CVT geared pretty high, less than 2,000 RPM at 75 miles per hour. So nice there. Fuel economy on the highway is stellar. This is rated for 39. I'll put all the numbers up there. And this week I've been right around 33 in mixed driving. Not a lot of highway this week, but I would imagine this would pop into the 40s under certain circumstances. So that's really, really good. Now let's talk about these anti-gravity seats. Is that marketing? Is that just mumbo jumbo? When you first sit in these seats from Nissan, you notice that they are different. They feel completely different from all the other mainstream seats out there. And the whole idea is to prevent pressure points or hot spots, and I think they accomplished that. So they kind of feel squishy without feeling squishy. Does that make sense? But I think I could sit in these all day. Pretty supportive. So unique seat feel, decent amount of bolstering. A nice surprise has been this bass stereo system. I don't know, it's like 6-7 speakers, but unless you're really, really picky about your stereo system, you'll be really happy with the bass system in here. It's not super loud volume wise, but it does have a really surprisingly rich sound. So one of the better bass systems I've heard in this Nissan. Now, as far as safety wise, you do have those rear parking sensors, rear cross traffic alert, pretty decent amount of safety stuff on here. The one thing I do like, let's see, we'll drive here, and some people don't like this. I like blind spot monitoring, where you see it over there inside the car, that yellow light or orange light. Most blind spot monitoring is in the mirror, but for me personally, I just feel it catches my attention a little easier. Here, let's do this. Accelerating here. Now watch it on the left over here. Yeah, see, I like it there. So I've seen that in Audis and some other German cars, and anyway, everybody has their own cup of tea that they like. But anyway, let's go 70 to 80. Okay, there's 80. Again, plenty of passing power because the CVT definitely downshifts pretty quickly based on your foot input. The other thing this week is this car has been really, really solid. No rattles, no creaks. This specific one has about 10,000 miles. So yeah, this is a great trip car. If I needed to drive across the country, I wouldn't have a problem hopping in this car and doing it. Your passenger sitting over there, they're gonna listen to some music and fall asleep like that because the seats are so comfortable and it's so quiet in here. And you know, the other thing about this Altima is that you can get this in all-wheel drive. Now, unfortunately, you cannot get the turbo with all-wheel drive, but you know, they even offer all-wheel drive. Again, you really do need to think about this over something like a compact crossover. Oh Lord, we got lawn care. Anyway, you got to really think about this over something like a compact crossover or those dreaded subcompacts, because this drives so much better, super fuel economy, and really surprising. So don't feel bad, you should check this out. Don't feel embarrassed that you like the Nissan Altima. Nissan has a great product here and they deserve more credit. Way more important than what I think is what you think. So leave your questions, comments below. We'd love to hear from Altima owners or those out there shopping in this mid-size sedan market. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Check out all of our other content and give this video a thumbs up today. So thanks again and have a great day, morning or evening, wherever you may be.